I transformed Minecraft's scariest biome into a paradise. This took me months to do and is definitely the best thing I have ever built. So step 1 of this build would be opening up the city roof, and by that I mean destroy every block in between it and the surface. So I laid out what I needed to destroy, and this is a much bigger area than I thought it was going to be. In fact, I was going to need to mine 3.5 million blocks. So that's exactly what I spent the next week of my life doing. So we are halfway as deep as we need to go here, but the TNT only drops so far, so now I need to build this again a little bit lower down. To mine out all of this, I was using a machine called a World Eater, because mining all this by hand would literally take months, if not years. And that is phase 2 complete, and all I had to do was get rid of this last layer here, making sure that I didn't destroy any of the city below. You can really see how long this took me by the amount of chests up here. All of these are full of resources, just from collecting what fell about. Now that the city is fully uncovered, I should probably go down and explore a little. Oh yeah, oh okay, yeah. This was my first time seeing the Warden. Little did I know at the time, I was going to be seeing a lot more of this guy later. But we are gonna need to clear out this whole area, so for that, I think I'm gonna get some wool. I'm getting wool because when you walk on wool, the Warden can't hear you. So I've got a little bit of wool here now, and now I think I'm ready to clear this thing out. I'm honestly terrified because I've just never done this before. So I spent the next couple of hours painfully going through here and covering up each sensor. But it was not all easy. There was a couple times where I almost lost my hardcore build. Oh no. Oh, this is not good. Oh, I don't know the way out. But I always managed to get away in the end. It just doesn't get better. Yeah, I'm gonna continue doing this for the next hour or so, and we'll see where we're at. So a full hour later and a lot of wardens spawning, and I think this whole area is safe now. I've cleared out most of the skulk sensors, so I can just walk around here freely. So now that this whole thing's safe, we need to actually figure out how we're gonna transform this place. I would like to see if I can make a design using all of the blocks that we already have, because that would save me a lot of resource collecting. So back in the old test world here, and I've loaded in one of these cities. So I'm gonna get experimenting, changing everything. Starting with these big columns. These are really cool. All right, so I've come up with a couple designs here for potential pillars. And to be honest, none of these I'm gonna copy exactly, but they're good ideas and they give me an idea of what kind of blocks I'll need to get. And I also repeated this process with a couple different structures here. So I've come up with a bit of a block palette here, and I'm gonna need to collect a bunch of all of these blocks. Collecting resources for a build this big is no easy task, especially when you don't have a plan, because I'm literally just guessing how much of something I will need. So we have collected everything for this build. So we have all of our resources down here, and now it's time to actually get building. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is replace all of these kind of pathway things. And firstly, we'll start destroying, start replacing each little section. And this build, I'm essentially replacing block for block, but a lot of the other ones I'm going to completely reconstruct. So we've got this bottom section pretty good, just adding essentially just like a structural beam. Then underneath, a bunch of grass. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. And eventually this will have a bunch of flowers and leaves and stuff, but for now I'm just going to leave it like that. So this is essentially going to be like a bunch of big gardens that stretch out of the whole city here. So I'm going to get grinding and just build a ton of this, really. Just this over and over again. So we've done a little bit here, and I really like that I'm able to see this entire project from above. It makes it a lot easier to choose what to do next. So now I want to get rid of all this ugly skulk, so that means replacing the entire ground. This may sound simple, but this was one of the grindiest parts of this whole video, because a lot of this ground was deep slate, which I had to mine all by hand. Putting in the grass here has made a huge difference with making this look transformed. Now I'm really excited to get working on this section here, which I have a really clear picture in my head here, but I don't know how to describe it, so I'm just gonna get working. Now I need to decide what goes in the middle of each. Thinking either glowstone, or I fill the whole thing with the water. I might have a third idea though. Yeah, I think I like that one the most. So now what I want to do is build like archways that connect each one of these. Kind of like this mini thing here, but like giant. Here's the basic shape. It actually looks pretty cool as it is, but I'm still gonna try adding some like cross beams. No, I don't really like that. Maybe if we try using some sandstone here, that could look really cool. Yeah, that's better. You guys don't want to watch me build this 4 more times, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And I think what's gonna really bring this together is I want to put a bunch of like leaves and kind of greenery that kind of stretch over each one of these. So I also went ahead here and cleared out all of this ground because the next step is going to be, well, building the ground. First, I'm going to build up a bit of a platform that all of these pillars stand on. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Now I'm going to make the actual ground here. I want to start with a little bit of sandstone on the edges and then move into more packed mud and then start going into some more coarse dirt. Oh yeah, that looks great. I love how this entire build has turned out. This looks really good. In fact, this whole build is starting to come together with all the grass now and this little centerpiece. I really start to see how this end city will look. No grass here because this will be a road with a bunch of houses along here, and I want to figure out the houses because I'm not sure how they're gonna look. Man, it's been so long since I built just like a little house. I'm not quite sure how to anymore. Yep, still got it. Needs a little more detail, but I'll probably go around doing that to all of them at the end. But for now, I need to take a break from building, and we need to build a moss farm because I want to add little patches of moss and greenery to the roofs. Alright, it's been about half an hour AFK, so let's see what we've got. That's pretty good. Now I can finally add these finishing touches. So I'm gonna build a bunch more here. I really enjoyed building these houses, and I may have got a little ahead of myself. The only thing I don't like about this is it took me at least like 3 hours. So to do all of these different streets, it's gonna take a long time. So I might as well just get working. Alright, little update here. I'm absolutely loving building these houses. I'm honestly not recording as much because I'm just enjoying just the relaxing part of building these little alleyways and adding all these little details. So yeah, there's not much to say about building these houses. Each time I'm making sure to vary what I use on the bottom compared to what I use on the top, and same with the roofs. If you'll notice here, a lot of them end up touching each other, but they're different colors and stuff. So it's pretty obvious that they're part of different houses. So yeah, I'm gonna keep building these houses, and let's jump straight back into a time lapse. And this is looking really good. So now what we need to do is transform this tower right here. So this right here is the start of it. There's a bit of a base here and it's starting to go up, and I'm following the general shape of what was here. And now I basically need to texture this a bunch and make it a lot taller. So that's in. Now what we need to do is add a roof here. So I think deep slate would look good as a trim because it contrasts this really light color here. So I'm gonna make this bit pretty like low down, and then it's gonna get steep in the middle here. This is looking pretty sick. So I think now I just need to add some last houses here and there where we've got some space. And then I want to finish up this little park bit. So laying out a couple houses here. I'm going to add a big one at the end of the street here to block it off from this big wall. Now adding a base to each of these houses. Now just building these taller. Just need to add a roof in here. So that's one house done. And here's another house. And now we can get working on this park area here. So walking through here, it's this really nice area that I've just planted a bunch of just normal trees, and it really breaks up the kind of area here by adding this big patch of green with the giant trees. So this entire half of the build here is almost complete. All we have left to do is this little area over here. And I think I'm gonna do another little street here. So first, I had to hand mine this big chunk of deep slate, and then fill in a bunch of grass. And only then could I start building houses. Just for reference, that time lapse that you just watched took me over 3 hours. So you can imagine how much time it took to complete this entire half. So this is a really big milestone in the build here. This is definitely the most detailed and just nicest build to walk around I've ever worked on. And I'm just super proud of all of these streets and areas. But we've still got work to do. We're gonna have to do what we did here with the roads and streets and everything over on this half. And then once we've done that, we can work on this giant centerpiece. So let's get working. So first, of course, is figuring out exactly where the road will go here. It's a messy start, and I know, but that's just the process that I like to go through. So now laying out where houses will go. So now that I've laid out where all the houses will go, I'm gonna start adding all of the base layers here. So for this one, I'm gonna go with granite and mud, half mixed in with mossy cobble, stone bricks and cobble, granite, terracotta. And here you can see all the variants in all of these bases. And now we just do basically the same thing, but with the top layer, making sure to choose a different texture for each one. So I've added the secondary layers, and I've also added all of these bits down the bottom. And now what I need to do is add all the roofs. So now roofs are all complete, and all that's left to do is all those little details that bring the whole thing together. Things like doors, windows, some leaves, blueberries, random piles of wood, some more leaves. And now this street is looking great. Now I just repeat that again and again and again and again and again until this whole area is all nice and done. So now all of the houses in this area are completely done, but we still have a couple little things we need to add. Starting with this little shrine-like thing, that looks pretty good. And all that's left to do is this structure here. It's kind of a weird shape. Like this could be some kind of church. And all that's left to do is add in some gardens, just like we did with these ones over here. And now almost this entire build is complete. All that's left to do is this centerpiece. At this point, I'd been working on this video for months, and I just needed to get it done. So I put my head down and grinded out this final build. Wow. I mean, this is the proudest I've ever been of a build that I've worked on. This thing is so cool, and it's so full of so many little details and little spots you have to find, and I am just so proud of it.